Hi there, this is Darren with SimNation. Doing a quick recap video for GSNCFL, which is our 2026 Monster League, which combines all the teams from FBS and all the teams from FCS into one league. We're now into week two. Week three will run on Tuesday. Would love to have you. There's still some really good teams. In fact, a lot of the top teams are still available. Uh, so like Georgia, Florida State, Penn State, UCLA, Clemson, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Most of the big teams are still available. So if you're interested, I'll have the link in there for where you can see the open coaching roles. Uh, this league's interesting because again, it's 265 teams. So it's going to be a lot more wide open. We'll talk about the first 2 weeks and talk about some general observations. There's a couple minor shocks that have already happened, and let's just dive right into that. So if we go back to week one, we'll just go here. Generally, there wasn't a lot of major upsets in week one. You did have UCLA who knocked off LSU, which I believe is star final, pretty significantly. Again, bear in mind it's week one, right? There's going to be some difference there. Utah won, which is 65 toss power trap. Gardner Webb is Starfinder's other team. They lost to Southeast Louisiana. Maryland edged out Boston College. New Hampshire got shelled by Penn State. Sam Houston State, who's V Gorilla, edged out Weber State. I actually beat them. Chattanooga is Udo. He lost to Fresno State. Tennessee lost to Oregon. Uh, and Invisible Witness, this is a team to keep an eye on. So North Dakota State obliterated Purdue. Probably would happen in real life too. Um, Texas is a team to watch within all of this because this is Kevin. He has one of the top ranked teams. South Carolina dropped one to Iowa, which is DWK. VMI upset Toledo, which is my low prestige team. I believe Northern Iowa's Tony, who beat Albany, and then the rest of these are CPU games. There weren't many major upsets in week one. Most of the upsets were really good teams like Oklahoma upsetting Miami, and there was another one that was out there. Wisconsin knocking off Florida. Poor Florida is just having a bad time in both real life and fantasy. And then you had Notre Dame and USC. USC was actually higher ranked at this point, I think, and they got knocked off. And that was really the big ones, other than Prairie View came very close to knocking off Minnesota. Um, Now, going into week two, there was, of course, a seismic event that happened. So Washington versus Maryland. Washington was actually ranked. Maryland was not. Maryland managed to knock them off. DWK got his revenge on poor Vandy. I think that's the game this week in the SEC. Um, and then Chattanooga versus Sacramento State. Udo got his first win of the season against the Hornets. South Dakota State, this is Allsmiles. He knocked off Sacred Heart to go to 2-0. He's a team to keep an eye on as well, who could cause some havoc. Gardner Webb versus Miami, a lot closer than a lot of people thought it would be. Starfinder kept this game close, but Miami just had more talent. Notre Dame versus Sam Houston State. V Gorilla lost to Notre Dame, but again, a big difference in talent. Long Island, trying to remember who this is. Just bear with me one moment. With 264 teams, I could use that as an excuse, but we don't have that many coaches. So if I remember, this is I think 25 Wilson, uh, and he got his first one of the season against Indiana State. Udo bounced back with a win against Louisiana Monroe, pretty convincing win. Um, you saw Starfinder take all of his frustration out on Incarnate Ward. Um, Kev keeping it real against Western Michigan, another strong game from Texas, which is why I think that they're going to be a team to watch. New Hampshire lost to Washington State. Again, this is a kind of a mismatch. VMI lost pretty substantially to Northern Arizona. Completely misread that game. Utah versus Fresno State, 65 toss power trap made it 2-0 by knocking off Fresno State. And then really the big game of the week is Clemson almost got upset by Temple. Oklahoma State, of course, managed to knock out uh, Holy Cross, but the one I'm looking for is Alabama got pretty massively. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Ohio State, wasn't Alabama. So Ohio State entered, like, I think ranked third in this game, and they lost to JMU, and it knocked them completely out of the top 25. They are not number three anymore. Uh, and this was just one of those games where JMU jumped out to such a lead that Alabama couldn't come back. So that was a huge, huge upset. Even though in real life JMU is actually a really good team, and most people would say it's not always an upset. Although it would be an upset if JMU beat Ohio State, even in real life. But as you can see, a lot of the games went the way that you would expect them to go. Um, TCU upsetting Houston, maybe not as big of a deal. Um, you see that Arizona State upset Arkansas, but again, that was the first game for the CPU. Uh, Auburn almost got the upset against Kansas State. North Carolina got around Northwestern State. Minnesota and St. Francis, that went the way you would expect it to. Oregon makes it 2-0, so they showed that that first week win wasn't a fluke. And then I think that if I remember correctly, North Dakota State was off this week. So if we look ahead to week 3, we have South Carolina versus LSU. So this is DWK versus Starfinder, one of the first real games where we have two human coaches matching up. I do think that this one will probably go LSU because they have a better team than South Carolina does. I think Tony gets another win against Illinois State. Utah should easily shred Columbia. Oklahoma's probably going to shred VMI. I don't think I can compensate for the talent gap. Maryland should shred North Carolina A&T. Visible should easily deal with Austin Peay. Tennessee should easily deal with Montana, so Udo should get the win there. This is the first game I think where 65 toss power trap has the actual means to compete against the team, so he should get the win here. Um, Gardner Webb versus Hampton. I like Starfinder in this one. South Dakota State. I do expect Allsmiles to win this one. And that's really it for the human controlled teams. I think if I'm looking for an upset this week, I think it is going to likely be. Um, there was one I saw that I thought that could be an upset. Uh, I think the main upset could be the one I'm kind of watching is potentially Merrimack versus Florida State. Merrimack is actually a decent team, so they could actually upend Florida State, but we'll see. I don't know that they're going to do it. I don't know we're going to see a great big upset this week. As I mentioned before, this is a 265 team league, so we have a lot of openings if you're interested. Uh, it is a really good league. It's just beginning, so as you can see, there are lots of teams in here. If we look at who is doing well right off the bat, it's actually not what I wanted. What you'll notice is like Ole Miss has got a really good passing attack. Washington has a really good passing attack, which was a good win for Maryland. You're not going to see many human control teams uphill, only because we have so few of them at this point versus a lot of CPU teams. Um, Rushing wise, again, you see some of the teams here. You do see that DWK has one of the top rushers. Kevin has one of the top rushers as well. So I do think when we look at the human controlled teams, Kevin's probably in the best position right now, but we'll see how this plays out. You have Maryland's running back downhill, uh, but I don't expect Maryland to win the Big Ten. The team's not all that good. So if you use the SNCFL, you're not going to see the same teams up here, probably some of the same names. But if you're interested in joining us, definitely feel free to. It's a fun league with its beginning, and as we get more coaches in, it'll only get better. So thank you. And again, this is just a quick recap video. Hope to see you in this league. I think it's going to be one of the more fun leagues out there as we get more coaches in.